This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com with my weekly review of the points I find interesting in Dave Meltzer's Wrestling Observer newsletter. I will jump right into it. By the way, I did an interview with Greg Valentine yesterday. I suggest people check out right here on this channel. SummerSlams today. There's over 50,000 tickets out right now, 50,548 tickets. There's still more tickets left for people that want to go see it in Cleveland. They'll probably call it a sellout no matter how many more tickets are sold. They'll just say it's sold out. And I'm not saying that that's a bad number or anything, but they'll just keep filling it up and say it's sold out. Pete Sanchez, longtime preliminary wrestler in WWE from 59 to 84, passed away on July 27th. Bret Hart confirmed what everyone already knew, and you can tell with my shoot interview with him, that Bob Backlund, who's 74 now, is suffering from dementia. I did an interview with him a couple of years ago, and the person that hooked me up basically said it's going to be now or never because he's going downhill fast. And you could tell in that interview that, I also interviewed Paul Orndorff, who was suffering from dementia just before he passed, like a year before he passed. And I was told the same thing. Paul was further gone when I interviewed him than Bob was. But Bob's memory was definitely going. Abdullah the Butcher, 83, was hospitalized this week, claimed it was a lot more serious than it appeared to be, because just a couple days later, he not only left Atlanta and went to Charlotte, but he's looking healthy. As healthy as you can at 83, being obese your whole life, and having Hep C at one point with Jacques Rougeau, who also had Hep C at one point. He had told me after I came out that it was from Abdullah. He thought he may have got it from Abdullah too, because he had wrestled Abdullah so much. As far as other news, TNA's Slammiversary did 4,000 buys, which was up 260% from their previous pay-per-view that only did 1,100 buys. So the WWE crossover has definitely helped them. Joe Henry from TNA has a special WWE deal right now where TNA is allowing him to appear on NXT and train in the Performance Center while still being under contract to TNA. I'm sure WWE has a great deal worked out for that. Apparently, the WrestleMania talk with London Mayor Shad Khan last week went well, and obviously they wouldn't be taking so many pictures promoting it unless it's more likely than not going to happen, where the mayor will always be asked, what happened to that WrestleMania stuff that was getting all that publicity? Survivor Series, November 30th in Vancouver, where they've been drawing great crowds for wrestling in recent years. Apparently, according to public records, WWE is getting $5 million to put WrestleMania there next year. And they also paid WWE $300,000 and additional, gave them $30,000 worth of marketing value for SummerSlam there back in 2021, where Brock Lesnar returned. He always goes away and return. Apparently, Triple H said Brock Lesnar will come back whenever he wants to come back. He's up in Canada watching his kids play hockey and enjoy life right now. Meltzer says the reason he's off TV was actually pulled from the Royal Rumble due to the controversy over his slight connection to the Janelle Grant lawsuit. Janelle did make some accusations towards Lesnar, and he was basically pulled. So he is under contract. So it's really not a matter of, oh, he'll come back when he wants to come back. It's when the legal team feels that matters have blown over enough to allow him back. And I'll say it again, Chael Sonnen did a video not too long ago asking why nobody sticks up for Brock Lesnar, because he's like one of the highest paid people in the company. Last I checked was like 12 million. And he's paid right now he's still under contract. Otherwise, I'm sure AEW would be trying to get him. He's just paid to be at home doing whatever he wants to do. So why would people stick up for him? He's doing better than 99.99999% of people in this world. And really, the only connection to the Janelle Grant thing is supposedly he asked her to send a picture of herself peeing, and they'd been in contact together. She was supposed to see him, but he canceled it. So, I mean, the allegations of someone flirting with you via text, and if you're into it, asking for a picture of them peeing. Is that really the end of the world? Julia from Japan announced on July 30th she's leaving the Marigold promotion on August 19th to go to NXT. She will likely still be allowed to wrestle in Japan here and there after that. Jesse Ventura was shown talking to Triple H on Raw last week from St. Paul, Minnesota. They had over 12,000 fans in attendance, 12,077. He has mended the fences with the WWE. I don't know if they'll actually use him for commentary. He is long-winded these days. I do watch a lot of his interviews. I don't know if he'd be as sharp as he used to be on commentary, or if he's as familiar. Like, obviously, he's not really watching the product. So I don't know if one of the reasons he was so good at it before was because he had been in the wrestling business and he was friends with most of the people he was commentating about. I don't know if he'd be as good as he was in the past, but it'd still be interesting to see. Steve Austin teased that he'd be at next year's WrestleMania, saying that it's taking place in Nevada, and he lives in Nevada, and he doesn't like to leave Nevada. So it's possible. He was offered a part in the Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns match that had people like The Rock and The Undertaker running into this year, along with Cena. Apparently, Austin was offered the part of The Rock bottom, but Cena ended up giving The Rock bottom, and that would have been the Austin giving The Rock the stunner. But Austin, they couldn't offer Austin enough money to do that, apparently, so he didn't do it this year. MVP, who appeared in Bloodsport recently, official last day with the WWE is August 2nd. The rumor is MVP, Shelton Benjamin, and Lashley are all going to show up in AEW soon. Beth Phoenix contract has also expired. She, of course, is Edge's wife, so she could also appear in AEW. Jacob Henry, the 18-year-old son of Mark Henry, is signed with WWE. NXT is going to be sending talent regularly to Booker T's Reality of Wrestling. I mean, that's a good deal for them. They don't have to they're not putting on as many shows because their shows lose money, so it's probably cheaper to get their wrestlers experience to just send them to Booker T's company. John Cena is going to be on the season premiere episode of The Simpsons this fall. Bret Hart they did have a Bret Hart character on The Simpsons for an episode. It didn't sound anything like Bret Hart, though. I'd still like to know if that was actually Bret Hart's voice. They all act like it was, but to me, it sounded nothing like Bret Hart. They definitely had his cartoon on The Simpsons, though. AEW, that have been having attendance issues lately, did a show in Greensville, South Carolina this week. Dynamite drew less than 3,000 fans, including comps. Keep in mind they had over 16,000 people the last time they were in Greenville for Sting's retirement. Obviously, they're not going to get that kind of a crowd for a random Dynamite, but that's still quite a drop from over 16,000 to 2,000 something. Tony Khan and Shane McMahon met July 31st in Arlington, Texas. WWE has not wanted to bring Shane McMahon back. He's been trying to get back with WWE apparently, but they've had no interest in him. Could be a mutual beneficial thing to have Shane in AEW. Jim Ross has talked about it being a very positive thing if that were to happen. I don't see any negatives about it. AEW presented 9 hours of wrestling last week, including the Ring of Honor content. That's a hell of a lot. I watched maybe 2 minutes of their content last week on YouTube. Nothing really interested me. AEW has 5 months left on their media rights deal with Warner Brothers Discovery. Tony Khan has denied that any new deals have been agreed to yet. Mercedes Moné went public this week. She has divorced her husband, who she had been married with for a while. Her husband was a former WWE seamstress. Sammy Guevara, who's been paid to do nothing for months, returned to AEW on Ring of Honor, which is pretty much the same thing, July 28th. His suspension for breaking Jeff Hardy's nose with a botch move has been over for months. They just haven't brought him back on TV. By the way, the Hardy Boys met with WWE officials yesterday about returning to the company. It's safe to say AEW did not use them very well. They had a very forgettable tenure in AEW. Beyond the most memorable thing I have of the Hardys in AEW was Jeff Hardy's return. The first night they returned. That was one of the good things I saw in AEW. But beyond that, they did pretty much nothing of relevancy. Britt Baker was suspended for either 1 or 2 weeks by the AEW's infamous disciplinary committee for apparently talking badly about MJF, which Alicia Atut, who's MJF's girlfriend, that obviously she's now working for AEW, apparently ratted out to MJF that she was talking bad behind his back, which led to him becoming upset and punching a wall. There was an investigation into it, and the result of the explanation was getting her suspended. Of course, MJF, reportedly making $5 million a year, has enough pull to get his girlfriend hired. If you talk badly about him, you're probably going to get in some type of shit. But it does sound like a very high schoolish environment backstage there. I don't know. I haven't watched enough of AEW to know if they've actually started using Alicia on TV or not yet. But she's been under contract for a while. Of course, she has commentated for Great North Wrestling in the past. Very talented. Sky Blue underwent surgery for a broken ankle she suffered on Collision. July 30th, Trent Beretta underwent neck surgery. Bret Hart said Tony Khan has never contacted him about being in the Owen Hart Cup. And he also said it doesn't hurt to ask. Bill Goldberg said in a recent interview, Tony Khan reminds him of Dixie Carter. Paul White, who has done virtually nothing at AEW in the many years he's been under contract, is now being used as an authority figure on Ring of Honor shows. Again, Ring of Honor is only on their streaming service. Why they wouldn't use him on Dynamite that actually has good TV exposure is beyond me. It seems like he's been a waste of money overall for the amount they've used him. MJF defended the AEW title in CMLL yesterday. In MMA news, the UFC 306 at the Sphere in Las Vegas, the minimum ticket price is $2,700. The previous record for highest gate was 17.7 million for the first UFC Madison Square Garden show, where ticket prices were just under $1,000 a ticket. So tickets are almost triple for this. The concussions law or the UFC lawsuit, I'm not exactly sure the details of it. I don't know if it's concussions or what. But the judge refused the $335 million settlement offer and is forcing it to go to court. UFC is earning between $1.3 and $1.4 billion a year right now. They're just a monster. They're actually they're doing a $25 million upgrade on the Apex in Las Vegas to expand the seating from 600 to 1,000 people. More restrooms and concessions area since they're doing so many shows from there now. Outside of UFC, the latest pay-per-view numbers for the late Nate Diaz versus George Masvidal boxing match, where Diaz apparently only got paid $1 million of the $10 million he was promised, was only 9,500 pay-per-view buys. It did have a good live crowd. The Jake Paul versus Mike Perry pay-per-view boxing only has 7,500 pay-per-view buys at this point. And again, why buy anything on pay-per-view now? Because seconds later, you can watch it on YouTube. Hello, Alfred. Glad you enjoyed the Greg Valentine interview. Hello, David. Brian L. Benson, Cody Rhodes' title reign is longer than Dusty's 3 NWA title reigns. Is Cody drawing money? Well, they're not doing any they're doing 2 house shows in August. And they've hardly announced any for the fall. So you don't have to actually draw anymore to be a champion. People just go to WWE for the name. Does anyone actually think Cody has a chance in hell of losing the title today at SummerSlam? No. So to me, that makes the match not interesting at all. The most interesting match of SummerSlam is CM Punk against the Scottish guy his name is Drew McIntyre, which I would predict Punk will win. But you don't really know. There is some question on who would win that, so that makes it more interesting. WWE should use some of that money to give Dominic Mysterio acting lessons. Yeah, he's over. I'm not going to take away from him. He's over. Oh, good God. No comment. Did I ever go to a pay-per-view viewing party back in the day? When I was training in Calgary, I had a friend that lived near me, one of the referees for Stampede Wrestling, that always invited people over to watch the pay-per-view, so I did at that point. Richard Guida was his name. I forget what his referee's name. Brett, I did do a video where I put out the prisoner information of Billy Jack Haynes for people that wanted to write him letters or send him money through the prison. If you search the the Hannibal TV, Billy Jack Haynes prisoner info. You'll find it. My guess is he's never getting out of prison. That would be my guess. He hasn't been found guilty yet, but was it in his mind more likely than not a mercy killing? Yes. Should he have done that? No, I don't. I just don't think he's already in his 70s with health issues. I don't think they're going to like say because he's not mentally stable, he's not criminally responsible for this. Let's put him back out on the street. I don't see that happening. I just don't. Could he be like put into some type of facility for people with severe mental health issues? Probably yes. Do I like him? Do I think he has a good heart? Overall, yes. I don't think he was in a good mental state when that whole situation went down. I wish him the best. His wife was legitimately suffering badly with dementia and was like 16 years older than him. But I don't think he went about that whole situation the right way. No, Frederick, I won't show up for that. I don't really have any interest at all in that. The Cody Rhodes thing, I mean, they put him with the ultimate push. You have The Undertaker, The Rock, and John Cena involved in your match. I mean, you can't ask for a bigger push than that. WWE doesn't want Shane apparently because, I mean, they already have enough connection to Vince McMahon through Triple H, and Vince McMahon has a stigma towards him. Plus, apparently, there's like heat with him and Triple H and Stephanie because Shane wanted more of a power position in WWE than he ultimately got. They ended up releasing him, but apparently it became public as a resignation. But the truth was he was kind of forced to resign for some reason. And then Triple H and Stephanie ended up getting all the power. Hello from Vegas, Dawn, the home of Greg Valentine. Gunther and Damian Priest, how could anyone care about that match when Gunther lost to Sami Zayn? I mean, and that, does anyone really care about that world? I don't even. This is a title that they created just so both TV shows could have a world title. But the title that Cody Rhodes has is really the only over world title. Is Damian Priest over to the extent of a real world champion? Let's look at the top. I don't mean to ramble here, but let's look at the top over wrestlers in WWE. The Rock, number one. Brock Lesnar. Actually, John Cena I'd put above Lesnar. Lesnar would be number 3. Then Roman Reigns, who could very well appear at SummerSlam tonight. Then Cody Rhodes. Randy Orton is fairly up there. I'm not that familiar with the bloodline, but I would say Solo is even more over than Damian Priest. Damian Priest, I don't think anyone would argue he's not in the top 6 of most over wrestlers. So I wouldn't consider that a real world champion at all. Liv Morgan is more over than Gunther and Damian Priest. I agree on that. Hello, Doug Masters. Victor Murphy, thanks for the tip. Am I watching any of the Olympics? Only when it's been on in the gym, where I'm going to be heading to right after this. I'll be honest, I never found Olympic wrestling entertaining. I did it because I wanted to be a pro wrestler, and I always read that it helps to do Olympic wrestling, and I was very successful at it, but I never actually found it entertaining to watch. Well, the thing I did like about Morgan, I mean, I found it funny when she licked him. I mean, Liv Morgan licking Dominic Mysterio. I mean, I watched that clip. It made me click on it. I'd rather watch that than anything Sami Zayn does. Congratulations to Steve Mongo McMichael for his induction into the NFL Hall of Fame. Yes, Ivan, I mentioned that. I've been saying it for a long time. It's clear in my interview with him. Every time I met him, he always seems very much like his Mr. Backlund character. Like he always seems like he's on edge of like snapping if you piss him off or say something that'll offend him. But he's a nice guy overall. He'll always talk to you. He may ask you a favor before to sign an autograph or something. But the Olympics is weird this year. I don't know what's going on with. There's all kinds of weird things about people with different types of hormones in them and stuff that I don't know enough, and I'm no scientist. I don't even want to comment on anymore. All I can say about the Olympics is I don't give a damn about them. And I don't mean that to be offensive. I just don't find them. I don't have any desire to watch fencing. The beach volleyball is nice to see the girls in the bikinis. If wrestling or judo is on when I'm at the gym, or diving or something that like is a little bit visually interesting, I'll watch it, but I'm not going to go out of my way to watch anything.